If your identity and your self-worth is based on your watch, your car, the amount of women that you've been with, the house that you own, the amount of money in your bank account, I can take all of that away from you. If you're constantly, on YouTube and watching these documentaries of how to become a better person, how you can improve yourself, how you can, be this person, but that's all you're doing is watching and not actually applying any of it to your identity, and you're not actually discovering what truly gives you purpose, then you're an open loop. That you begin the process and you always end up right back where you were at. It doesn't matter how much validation you get, how much money that you receive, and so on. Just as soon as you stop getting validation, just as soon as you lose that job, just as soon as your house burns down, you're robbed for all of your money, you end up in a situation where you now have lost your identity. I spoke in the last video about you being Cherry's boyfriend. And just as soon as Cherry is finished with you, your identity is gone. I want to talk about how important it is that we become a closed loop. That we stop being the person that is always, or not we. I just want to talk about the idea because I know who I am. I'm very certain in that. I want to talk about being certain of yourself and, taking your experiences in life, the information that you gather, and using it to truly discover who you are, and pushing, if you, as young men or young women, we don't necessarily know the path that we're headed on, but through experience we learn about the world around us, what we do and do not like, and in those experiences we learn more about ourselves. And through the observation of others and the observation of our experiences, may we find ourselves. And in that, pursue excellence. So if you know that you don't enjoy playing video games, then you don't play video games. Just because you could potentially become a very rich person from playing video games and posting videos, just because you could potentially become very successful from racing cars, you know that you don't enjoy it, so it's not congruent with who you are, so you don't do those things. It'll be a false pursuit, and you'll never have this sense of fulfillment. So we have to look at it from the idea of the architect and the machine. The machine runs on autopilot. The machine shows up and produces a result, and that's all it does. It's like going to your normal job. But the architect is building a blueprint and a foundation, and that foundation is what the rest of their life stands upon. And through the solidification of that foundation, can they begin to build a real home. And the home is your world, your life. So through knowing what I enjoy and what brings me fulfillment, I can chase those processes that bring me a sense of self and a sense of joy. And I know those things are the right things for me to be doing, like making these videos, like pursuing the business that I'm pursuing, like going to the gym. I've always enjoyed the physical activity. I've always enjoyed it. And I don't mean to sound like a prick, but everything that I've put my mind to, I've always been good at. And that's because I put my mind to it because I enjoyed it. I was always good at it. And the way that I operate when I want to explore something, I get really into it. You know, almost like I get addicted to it. Whenever I look back on my life has been a series of addictions. And whether or not it was good or bad for me, that's neither here nor there. But I've learned a lot about those things and stuck with them or separated myself from them. Now, at times, there were things that had happened and other focuses that had taken my attention away from the things that I enjoy. But over the years, I've readjusted my life and learned from that experience of this took away from the sense of fulfillment. This gave me a sense of fulfillment. This felt really good, and this also felt really good, but this was a net negative, and this was a net positive. So I was able to adjust myself to be in the positions that I want to be in. Now, I started with the example of I can take all of that from you because they're not real like factors that make you who you are. They're results of other actions. So you could take everything away from me. You could take this chain. You can take my clothes. You can take my car. You can take every single possession I have. But at my core, I'm still going to be the person that I am. Because the person that I am isn't based off of someone's attention. It's not based off of the materials that I possess. I am who I am because I know myself. And I've pursued the day-to-day activities that I enjoy through knowing myself. And no matter what, as long as I have a phone, I'm going to record videos and explore ideas. If you know me in real life, you know that I love exploring ideas. And I used to call it the conversation that has no conclusion, because at its core, it is an exploration of ideas. And they're the most fun conversations because there is no conclusion. You both end up just being like, damn, that was a good conversation. Because there's nothing to end with, because you're just exploring ideas. What you end with is perspective and new ideas, right? Like the idea of wisdom and the water that the mystics float upon is the same water the schizophrenic drown within. And what constitutes those waters? And at what point are you swimming, right? And all it is realizations of the world around you and painting a picture of your place within it and who you are and what role you play. I say there's 3 stories that we tell ourselves, and this is all having to do with everything. There's 3 stories that we tell ourselves. There's what is the world around us, who are we, and what is the role that we play within the world around us. What these 2 coming together makes, and the final one is our identity. And the story of the world around you is it is made up and concluded through your observations and experiences. That your world is completely different from mine. We just exist on the same frequency. And my role that I play in that world is what makes my identity. Like who I am, that is, there's, yeah, who I am is, my place within the world. And you can't take that away from me, because I know that story, and I've explored that. And that brings about that sense of self. And I'm sorry if the video is a little bit shaky. I'm trying a new camera angle. I'm actually both hands. I'm not holding it. I have it sitting on my chair. But these videos aren't really to be watched. They're to be listened to. And if you do watch them, that's fucking sick. I appreciate that a lot. But there's not really a whole lot going on. Maybe at some point I'll have an editor and we can throw things up on the screen. Or, like I've said before, I may get on the computer and we'll just look through stuff. I actually might do one of those pretty soon. I like that idea. But, the three stories that we tell ourselves begin to be a conversation with no conclusion when you talk about that with other people. Because theirs is going to be different, and you're never going to come to a point to where you're like, yeah, that's the truth of it, right? There's never going to be, like, because you can't dictate those things. And then the way that works out is the schizophrenic and the mystics and the water is the exploration of those three stories. That whenever you're overloaded with those ideas, then you begin to lose it a little bit, right? So if you can't digest those ideas, and you can't digest the world around you and truly cope with those stories, then you become unstable. Just like how if my identity is tied to a woman, if the example of your Cherry's boyfriend, if the world around me, I understand it through experience, and then who I am and the role I play within the world around me, if who I am is based upon someone being a part of my life, and my identity, that's my identity. If that person leaves my life, then it's like the plug in the bathtub. All the water washes away and you're left with nothing. And you can't do that, because you lose every bit of yourself within that. And it's not about having things to fall back on. It's about never becoming that person. And that's not to say that you should never, like, and I think with children it's a little bit different though, because you are, I'm trying not to use a name. You are, Hunter and Sarah, you're their father. And that is the role that you play in the world around you. You are their father. Now, you can deny that role and just not be that, right? Like, that is an option. But that begins to be a moral and, like, ethical judgment conversation. That's not what we're talking about. So if your identity is made up of someone's validation, if your identity is made up of owning material possessions and the amount of money you make each week, if and it's why I don't talk about it. If you talk about, and I mean this genuinely, if you talk about, like, how much money you make with other people, that's part of your identity, because people are going to associate that with you. And you're either going to inspire it's very divisive whenever you talk about that, because if you're looked at as a equal within a group, but you're always throwing money in people's face, then either, depending on the relationship you have with those people, they're going to look at you and either be envious and praying for your downfall, that way that part of your identity is taken away, or they're going to try to get something out of you because they say, oh, well, he's talking about it so much, well, that's who he is, he makes all this money, and let me give me some, because I don't make as much as you. And then, like, if you're the complainer, right, if the amount of money that you make is what makes up your identity, then you become the complainer if you don't have enough of it, right? Like, if the amount of watches, say there's a friend group, and the amount of watches each of that friend group has is part of their identity, or the amount of cars that they have, or the amount of houses that they have, or how much passive income or active income they have. If that is what makes up their identities of who they are, then there's always going to be like this weird hierarchy and envious competition. While it can be motivating, just as soon as any of those factors go away, you lose yourself. That you're not who you thought you were. And that's where like shock comes in. And especially with like the relationship shit, where if you are Cherry's boyfriend, or Sarah's husband, or you are my name's Tony, if you're Tony's wife and I leave you, then if that is who you are and you have nothing else that makes up who you are, then you're crushed. There's nothing more to you. I have taken that away from you. That's not a good place to be in. And like I said, it's not about having something to fall back on. It's about never becoming that person. And it's not that you can't be my wife, or I can't be your husband, or whatever it is. It's that you don't have a real sense of self, which means that you don't have a real direction and purpose in the role that you play in the world around you, which puts you in a situation where you are dependent upon other systems. And if those systems fail, like if my business fails and that is what makes me who I am, or if I have a bad year and I don't make as much money as I did other years, then I'm going to lose that sense of who I am, because my identity is tied to that. And I think the beginning, I was talking about open loops and closed loops. It has to do with the way that you operate, right? Where, and this, like I talked about, I believe yesterday, or whatever the last video was, if I know that you being my wife is your identity, then I can do whatever I want with you, because as long as I let you maintain that position, all I have to do is hang it over your head, which is fucking evil. It is insanely fucking manipulative. It is insanely evil. But all I have to do is, dangle that carrot, and you'll do whatever I want. In the same way, men will chase sex, or women will chase whatever the fuck they chase. If that is your key motivator, then that's why so many men get played, because that is their motivation, is they just dangle the sex in front of the man, and he'll do whatever they want. Why do you think so many men feel the way that they do now? Because they don't have an identity. The only thing that they're pursuing is the validation, attention, and sex from the opposite gender or from the same gender, whichever one it is. You know, all of that, you have to be motivated and structured in such a way that you're producing very real results for yourself, and those results aren't who you are. So there's a deeper conversation at this, and in the moment I'm trying to scratch at it. I think that's going to be the next video, and I touched on it a lot in the desire video, and I think also in the game video and why you're getting played. I think all of those come together, this one and the previous two, to make a more of a, I can make it a much better. What I'm saying is, without having, laws that you have in your life that structure who you are, without having a spine, for the matter of not accepting certain treatment from people, of not bending for certain treatment, of not breaking the rules. The rules that you have make you who you are. That you're not going to accept, breadcrumbing. You're not going to accept, people wasting your time. You're not going to accept unfair treatment from your equals or from your counterparts. You're not going to allow that behavior to happen in front of you to other people. Even if you lose everything, you still have your core, and that core is going to take you so much further than any of the results that you get from the conclusions of your actions. And what does it mean to be taken further, right? And it's that sense of fulfillment. And all of this works as a filter and as an engine for the going-ons in your life. That's the way it all works, as an engine and filter. Because at the end of it, we all want to feel good. And if you're accepting mediocrity and you're bending the rules of what makes you feel good, if you're compromising your morals, and you are compromised, that's not okay. You have to have a way about you. That's how it has to be. You have to make promises to yourself and keep those promises. There's no two ways about it. Right? This is how it has to be. So, I think we'll come back to this topic soon. I'm trying to cover many ideas, and I feel like I achieved a real good organic flow in this video. I liked it a lot. I'll look back on it, and I'm sure I'll be very happy with it, because it felt good. It felt good recording this one. But all of this, I believe, comes together to say that what you allow and what you involve yourself in makes up your core. Just make sure that it is actually pushing you to be more excellent, and that you are finding a real sense of fulfillment in the pursuit of excellence. Don't be excellent based off of my gauges, right? Don't be excellent based off of what I'm saying. Be excellent based off of what you want. I want you to be excellent in your own way. I want to be excellent in my own way. I want us to pursue excellence in such an all-encompassing manner that it's undeniable that you are irreplaceable and that all other people are irrelevant because of the way that you act and operate. That's fucking cool. I look at my group of friends and family, and that's exactly what I want for them. That I am a unique individual, and I want them to all be their own flavor of unique. I don't want anyone to be like me, and I don't want to be like anyone. I don't envy any of them, and I hope they don't envy me. I don't think they do, because they know exactly how I am, and we all know how each other operate. We've been friends and family for tens of years, and I want to inspire them to be excellent in their own ways. They have interests. They have the things that make them feel good. They have the things that make them unique. And when they lean into those things, as they are, as it has happened in the past, and as is happening now, they reach a level of excellence that is unlike any other. Irreplaceable. And that motivates me to be even more excellent. Not more excellent than them. I can't be more excellent than them, because we're not operating on the same, pathing and structure, or we're not operating on the same, desire path. But what we do desire is for everyone to prosper, for everyone, I used to say it when we were younger, I have this dream of all of us standing together and everybody's just like, just fucking happy as shit. And in that dream, it's for their own reasons, and the fact that we can share together in our excellence. That's fucking cool. We're each unique archetypes of people. We each have our own interests. And we push each other to be more excellent in our own ways. And that is what makes you special. It's fucking cool, man. But I hope y'all enjoyed the conversation. If y'all have any questions, want to talk about anything, if you stay to the end of the video, leave a like, leave a comment. If you have any questions, ask them. If you have anything to say it. Let's hear it. I want to hear it. But y'all take care. I appreciate everything, and be on the lookout. I know I took 2 days off. I don't have any excuses for it. I just took 2 days off, but we're back at it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean. Y'all take care. Remember, no excuses, only results, and I will speak to you again soon. Take care, brothers, sisters.